Hey, hey, hey. I got my little playlist here now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wealthy You Wind Down Wednesday. You know what, guys? I literally have you ever been so tired that you just started laughing like uncontrollably? Well, that's sort of where I am right now. I just got in from Chicago this morning, and the what do they call it? They call it the travel chronicles now of Virginia. When I told her I was leaving, she was like, "Miss Deb, it's kind of crazy out there. That's why I left." So anyhow, welcome to Wealthy You Wind Down, everyone. Tonight, what we're doing for the next 8 weeks, we're really transitioning into it looks like I got propeller head with this fan on top of me. But anyhow, for the next 8 weeks, we are going to be going through our legacy wealth blueprint, our journey. I want everybody to really internalize this. I just came back from a conference of African American financial professionals, talking to them, and I shared with them some of the amazing transformations that are happening in our community. I also shared with them our mission of igniting 1 million women. And, I also took them to task about the fact that, they need to be on board and in the right way. And in some of those transformations, I actually shared how some of you have been put in inappropriate investments based on your needs, and that it doesn't serve anybody when that happens. And so great conversations. But what I was, the topic of the session was the wealth secrets of successful women. And what was so intriguing to me was all of these financial professionals, they saw themselves. Right. They saw themselves as being in that middle class mindset, focused on earning income. And so as a result, that evening, this is so funny, you guys. So my friend is HR director of that organization, and she's just such a lovely woman. And, I always want to make sure I do a great job. So sure enough, my session starts, and I don't know why I do this, but whenever I'm doing a big a talk, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, oh, wait, but what if nobody comes to mind, because there are concurrent sessions going on. So, I go through I have this whole ritual. And I go the day, usually I do it the night before, but the rooms weren't open. So of course, the first thing that morning, I got there. I got up. I had a bunch of other things to do, and I ended up missing part of the keynote, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But anyway, so I go check the room, and I make sure they've got all my slides. Of course, they don't. So it never fails, right? They're supposed to have the right link. They don't have the right link. So I go through all of that stuff, and I go in and I make sure that I check the technology, because I'm not using my laptop, I'm using theirs, right? So you just know the slides can come up and they can render incorrectly, which they did, right? So I'm going through all these machinations, and I try to do it before the sessions get started, because it's very difficult to go in between sessions. So long story short, I get to the keynote, and the keynote for the conference, I don't know if you've seen this, but the youngest Black woman who'd ever been a trader on Wall Street. Have you guys seen that? Very lovely girl. And she had, now I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't that deep, okay? And then she forgets one of her main points. Right. And so she says, in point number 4, and then she can't remember the point, and then her slides weren't working. So it was really interesting. But then this is what she says. She says, oh, I didn't know you were going to be so old. Girl, Listen, I fell out laughing, right? To myself, like I'm not, calling attention to myself or anything. So anyway, so then my session, I go back up and make sure everything's all right. And getting back to my point, my girlfriend, of course, she comes up there. She's so excited. Oh, I know you're going to kill it. And I'm sitting right here in front of you. Right. And the funny thing, I was just talking to her because I was just talking to the sponsor of that session about my wonderful, lovely friend who makes all the trains run, but nobody knows she's doing it. Like, all these leaders are getting all these accolades, but she's the one that's making it happen. So we get in the session, the gentleman introduces me. And so my session is the wealth secrets of successful women. And so I start out with this stat that I've been sharing with all of you, and it's the fact that this great wealth transfer is about to happen, and that women will have 80% of the assets that are transferred will go to women, right? And, and that kind of blows their mind. And I'm like, well, what are y'all doing, right? And so I said, but I told them that's the unique opportunity, right? And then I go into the fact that many of these women who are 10 feet away from gold are in there. And so I go through all of our transformations, right? Tamika, not all of them, but I did about maybe 3 or 4. Belinda, and her journey. And, they're just fascinated. And I said, yeah, but you are all 10 feet away from gold too, because most of these women were in your book, right? They had you as advisors, but, you're not giving the kind of time and attention and nurturing that is required. So anyhow, I'm in the midst of it, and I have my formal presentation, but I get to, go off the reservation just like tonight. I got slides, but I'm still doing my thing, right? So anyhow, and I said, yeah, and this is the opportunity, and the interesting thing about it, most of these women are what our keynote speaker would have said was old, and they busted out laughing, man. Because they were like, yeah, did you hear that? Yeah, but you know what? They gonna get all the money. So they got all the money and they gonna get all the money. So anyway, that was pretty interesting. But what was even more intriguing is the number of women who said to me, I got to get on your calendar. But it was for themselves. Right. And so I just feel like I'm sharing that with all of you, that we're all going through the same thing at different levels. Right. And that because we are first generation investors, most of us don't have this so-called high net worth assets. And so, what I shared with them? This is what I said. I said, these are high achieving women who simply are not rich yet, and we show them how to become wealthy. Oh, you should have heard. They just looked at me. They were like, wow. But that's because you got to have a vision, right? Like, you got to have a vision. And that's really what I want to talk to you, why we're intentionally internalizing our roadmap, right? Because it is the vision that I have for all of you, but I need you all to have it too for yourselves. Do you guys get this? Like, from earner to heiress, you reclaiming your wealth and your inheritance. And this is what was interesting. That was exactly the theme of their conference, Reclaiming Black Wealth. And what I want you to know is that you have everything you need to be everything that you need to be. But why I'm being intentional about this is because I've really had to reflect on the fact that if we're really going to go to the next level, if we're really going to achieve the goal of helping 1 million women get to 1 million, then we got to move a bit faster. in the chat, put faster, right? We got to move faster, and we got to move higher, and we got to be more disciplined. That's right, Claudia, faster, put faster in the chat. I need for you guys to understand that I have a real sense of urgency, not for myself, but for all of you. Okay? And what I love is when I share this vision with other people, it blows their mind what all of you are accomplishing. I came away from that conference feeling like, man, we're making history because we're outside of the lines. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are literally outside of traditional venues, you know, making this happen, and it's being revealed right in front of us. So that's what I want all of you to know. So if you're listening to me on another platform, I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder and CEO of WealthyU, where we help high achieving women who aren't rich yet become wealthy. That's my new tagline, because I believe that sums it up. If you guys agree with that, if you guys agree with the fact that WealthyU helps, no, not helps, but teaches high achieving women who aren't rich yet how to get wealthy. That's the goal. If you agree with that, put yes in the chat. Zerlene said, hallelujah. Yes, yes, yes. So again, I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder of WealthyU, and welcome to WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday. And this is really about, I even shared with them that we do WealthyU Wind Down. They were like, WealthyU Wind Down? It's like, yeah, you know, we take the edge off of the conversation and have fun and celebrate all of the members in this community and the remarkable things that you are all doing. And that's what I'm most proud of, is not me talking about me, it's really being able to show examples of transformation and what happens when people get access to the right information and the same information that the wealthy have always had. So it is WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday, so let me get to it. A toast to all of you, because you made that presentation. That presentation, what you should have seen those people. Let me just give a toast. They were so excited. And later on, I got to tell you guys this funny story. So I know my friend, she always wants me to show up at the other little things. You know what I mean? Like, damn, make sure you're here, make sure you're there. So as tired as I was, it was a white night. I put on my white, but I had to have on my little wealth seekers jacket, you know, the little denim that my girlfriend's daughter made me. I was all white, the jacket's white, but in the back, it was wealth seekers, right? So I'm walking, I'm following people. Oh, okay, where's the thing? They're like, just follow us. So I go up, and so I'm chatting, and you know, there are hors d'oeuvres, and you can have a glass of wine. So I get they had bad red wine. No, I just got to be honest. I'm like, y'all don't have nothing. I cannot drink this bad wine. So I ended up drinking some Prosecco. So I digress. But anyhow, so I'm going around the room. I says, oh, hi. And they were like, oh my gosh, you killed it. And so they were just going on and on and on everywhere I went. And I was like, oh, what do you do? And they were like, I'm so-and-so with State Farm. I'm so-and-so with State Farm. And then I went over, and there was this big State Farm thing. Honey, I had crashed the State Farm reception. It was so hilarious to me. But they were like, no, come over here. You know, and then they were like, chat with me, give me your number, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, God maybe put me in the right room. So anyway, is that funny, guys? If that's funny, put funny in the chat, man. That was funny. I was just like, and then because I kept saying, why does everybody work for State Farm? You know, because you had all of these different companies. You had New York Life, Prudential, Mass Mutual, Thrive, and all of these people. And I was just, I just don't understand what's going on. And then I came downstairs, and I was like, the white party hasn't started yet. Oh my gosh, that was too funny, but I digress. We really are here for Wealthy You Wind Down. And for the next 8 weeks, we're really going to be internalizing our legacy wealth blueprint. And our legacy wealth blueprint is our roadmap to transformation. It really is the journey to empowerment. Your journey. It's the journey that all of the women that you hear me talk about in Wealthy You that are in the Wealth Secrets book, by the way. How many of you are reading the Wealth Secrets book in the chat? Okay. If you read it in total, put yes. If you've read the entire book, put yes in the chat. I want to know who is reading. Oh, Tashima's read the entire book. Awesome. Who else has read the entire book? Anybody else? Come on now. It can't be just Tashima. But I do. Okay, Diane Dawson says entire book. Claudia says she's reading it. Who else? Who else? Anybody else? Okay, so who else has started the book? If you've started the book, put yes. That's what I want to hear. Because the amazing, to me, thing about Wealth Secrets is how it happened organically, right? So first, that's the point I want to make. I really, after writing the book and then after reading the book, and then just looking at the journeys that they took, and then I had to go back, and now in the new curriculum, what you have are the interviews of each of the women in their own words, right? Which is very powerful. But what it really caused me to reflect on is the success of those women. What was different, right? And what do we need to capture and do with more intention? And so now that we have actually validated the journey, what I want you to know is that we're going to get through this faster, right? Like I want your transformation. I want you to get there faster. Denise said she started, Zerlene read the whole book. Oh, Doc, I know. And you busy. Let's give Zerlene a hand, because Zerlene out there delivering babies and she be coming to our Legacy Wealth Accelerator meeting. She still be in her, what is that? What are those things that you wear, Doc? What is the white stuff you have on so that you don't bring germs in? She in the operating room, folks. And she be like, I got to get my education. I'm playing with you, Doc, but scrubs, that's right. And so the point I want to make is I need all of you who are listening to me, no matter what platform you are on, to understand that we are going to take everything that we learned from the women in the Secrets book, and we've codified it, and now it's we need you to be able to get further faster, right? And I don't by any means mean that we're going to take any shortcuts. Wealth is created over time, right? Not overnight, but I know it is your level of execution that is most important. And so to that end, something else that I realized, and I know for those of you who are in the Legacy Wealth Intensive, you know what, I also went back and looked at the original challenges and looked at the original process that we have on, that we would have an orientation. And guess what we took out that is fundamentally a fundamental aspect of the success that women have had in our program. Anybody want to guess what we used to do that we're not doing anymore? Can anybody guess? And it was an integral part, and that's why we're putting it back in. And for those of you who are in Legacy Wealth Intensive, I'm going to drop something new on you. No, it's not new. It's retro. Okay. Can anybody guess what we stopped doing that is an integral part of your being able to achieve the goals that you set out? Any of our ambassadors? Virginia, do you know anything that we used to do that we took out of orientation? It's our Wealthy Vision Board. I went back. So one of the things that you would do is we would do is the sum of your values worksheet, where we prioritize what was important to you. And we looked at what are your goals and what were your future. And then we had you create a Wealthy Vision Board that was a physical representation of what you saw your life in the future. And as I reflected and looked back at some of those recordings on many of the people and what they said they wanted, it happened, right? If I were to look at Dr. Sharon Dean's vision board, if I were to look at Belinda's vision board, if I were to look at Anita Jenkins' vision board, I don't know if she's on here as an ambassador, but she just closed on her second home, right? And so the other thing that is so critical, and if I look at my own vision board, all has come to be, right? And well, not all of it. You know, I got a little work to do still on the asset side. But I would say what's very, very important is that you have the vision and you make it plain, and you already are acting as if it has already been accomplished. I want y'all to get this in the chat. If you have a Wealthy Vision Board, put yes in the chat. If you created a Wealthy Vision Board, put, so Virginia, yeah, I know you had, because you're an OG, right? You were in the beginning. Deneen has hers, good. Who else? Lamurl has hers, good. Yeah, because Lamurl, I think you started in the original WealthyU 101, maybe, or maybe it was WealthyU Society. But we're bringing that back. You know, and I often do it at the beginning of the year. We have our Wealthy Vision Party. You need a new and updated one. That's right. When I looked back at those recordings, so I've been going back and just looking at what was the significance of the things that happened, right? What did all of those women have in common? And that vision board was a distinct part of it. So let me just level set for this evening. So for the next, now it'll be 8 weeks, we are walking the path of the Legacy Wealth Blueprint. And I got to tell you, when I showed this at the event, it just absolutely blew their mind. And what someone said, it was just the thoughtfulness of it, right? So I didn't go through this, you know, step by step with them, but I want all of you to internalize what the wealth empowerment journey in WealthyU is all about. And it really is, the first thing is making your shift from middle class to a wealth mindset, meaning the blueprint that you were given is not working, right? Next, it's what is your financial freedom factor? What is it that you need to have in order to live the lifestyle that you have been accustomed to pre-retirement, right? And then so that you have enough after retirement. And this is really, really important. It's a significant step in you being able to achieve, make the transformation, as we call it, from earner to owner, right? and really becoming from earner to heiress, really becoming a legacy wealth creator. And so last week I talked about the income mindset versus the wealth mindset. And now I want to talk a little bit about tonight, what we're going to talk about is you closing your wealth gap. Now, what most of you know is one of the first things you do in when you join one of our programs, or really prior to, is really get a sense of, do I have enough? So that's the question I have for you, all of you who are listening and who are here with me on WealthyU Wind Down. Do you have any sense of whether or not you have enough to live? You have saved enough to live in the lifestyle that you've become accustomed to. Put yes or no in the chat. Yes or no. Do you know what you are gonna need? Rosemary, yes. Janet, no. Okay, so the question I have is, why do you think it's important for you to know this? Why do you think it's important? Good, Lamerle. I knew you would bring that budget out. Lamerle is, that's what she helps people do. Get the basics down. Lisa, to close the gap. Zerlene, I want to live and not be on a corner with a side child. You know that's the truth. Janet, to set goals. Here's what I want you to understand. You cannot change what you will not acknowledge. Handle emergency. That's right. And so that's why it's so important. So as you all know, in WealthyU, we use a financial independence calculator to help you figure that out, right? Like, what is your gap? But I think, for purposes of tonight, what I want to do is sort of a rule of thumb. So one of the worksheets we used to use in WealthyU to give you an idea, a ballpark of how much you should have saved at retirement. So I want to ask all of you. Yeah, Anita, they really have come to fruition. I am so proud of you. I think we've known each other now for 4 years, and to see what has come to fruition in your life has just been absolutely remarkable. But more than that, what I'm always excited about is the fact that your own personal growth, and now you're facilitating, you're ambassador, you're a member success advisor, and you have not only internalized the concept, but you're executing on it. And I do want to commend you, because one of the things that folks need to know for ambassadors is they're still just like you. They invest in more programs. They go to the higher level. Anita's been in our Legacy Wealth Accelerator program because she had, hit the levels that she needed to, and she needed to go higher. And that is true for all of you. In order for you to go higher and go to the next level, you have to invest in yourself, and you have to execute. Outstanding. So let me see. Janet says, so that I can reach my goals and share with my grandchildren. Absolutely. Rosemary says, handle emergencies. Retirement funds must last a lifetime. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so what I want you to know is why it's important is because the goal is to create intergenerational wealth. And so in order for you to do that, you need to make sure that you have enough. And so the next question I have for all of you is, do you know how much do you think you should have? Anybody haven't figured out exactly how much that you're going to need? Okay, so I'm not going to bring out the calculator. Well, you know what? I am going to do it for purposes of this evening. Okay, so in the chat, can everybody see this worksheet? Can everybody see it? Put yes in the chat if you can see it. Awesome. And so one of the first things we do in WealthyU is kind of show you how much you're going to need, right? And so, for example, let's say, well, who wants to be, if you guys want me, we'll do something cool tonight. We're going to teach. So who wants to take a stab at it? Who wants to raise their hand and let me actually figure out what their wealth gap is? Anybody want to take me up on that? If you do, put yes in the chat. I'm going to ask you some questions. Rosemary says she needs 6 million. Okay. So Claudia said she has, Tia says she has. Okay. So are you saying you want me to take a stab at it, or do you want me? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. What I'm going to do, though, is, so as a rule of thumb, I just did this with someone else. So what financial planners say, so that I don't get too in the details, right? I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm not gonna go that. So you want a rule of thumb? Okay, let me give you a rule of thumb. So let's say you don't have a pension. All right. So I'm gonna take the pension off the table, because then you'll be able to figure it out. But as a rule of thumb, 4% should be your withdrawal rate from your assets. So let's say you are right now earning $100,000. Okay, you're earning $100,000, and you need to create that $100,000. That means that for every million, it would generate $40,000. Okay, that's a 4% withdrawal rate. Are you guys following me? So 4% of $1 million is $40,000, right? So if you needed 100,000, and I'm not taking taxes into account in here, okay? So this is very top level. Okay, so 1 million, 40,000. Another million would be another 40,000. And then another 500,000 would be 20,000. So that would be 100,000, and that would give you 2.5 million. Right? Okay. So let's say you have a pension. Well, the other thing I didn't put in there is I didn't put your Social Security in there. So I would say, actually, if you need 100,000, that other 30,000 or so that you're going to get from Social Security will probably be your tax bill. Is this making sense to you? Right? I mean, think about it. Like, if we were, I just want, like, so often we're thinking out here in theory, and I just want you to have that. Oh, you were volunteering, Tia. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Well, thank you for that. But I thought you were saying you knew exactly how much you needed. So In New York, that's right, Mariette, taxes would be even high. Man, I just left Chicago. Do you know how much their sales tax is? 10%. Is that insane? That's insane. Right? So I'm not even taking into account. So what I want you to understand about the wealth journey, right, is once you figure out what that gap is, there are only two things you can do, right? You either have to, well, there are three things. The first thing is, if you're going to close that gap, I want to go to the, I'm in gallery, so if you guys can turn on your cameras, turn them off. Right? So if you want to close that gap, well, let me not tell you the answer. What do you think the most important aspect of you being able to have enough and to close your gap? Anybody want to take a guess? What do you think it is? Pauline says invest. Marriott says dividends. Tia says residual income. What else? Knowledge to use it wisely. Max out 401k. Increase your investments. Guess what the biggest thing is, y'all? It's definitely budget, but it's your return. It's the return on your investments. The magic of compounding really is magic, you guys. And I do think what happens is we get so focused on, like, all I want you to know is whatever you focus on expands. So I'm not saying that you don't need to spend less money, but you know what I discovered in looking in Wealth Secrets? That's why I want you guys to read it, but I want you to read it from the perspective of what actions they took. And in every chapter, they're basically telling you the secret. They really are telling you the secret. And what was common in every one of those interviews, in every one of those chapters, was their focus on how they were going to close the gap. So the focus was, yeah, in some cases, a lot was my money was going different places, right? So I stopped spending. But what the most important thing that had the greatest impact was their focus. And so as they began to focus on making their money grow, and this is what blew my mind, a ripple effect happened, right? So I focused on making my money grow. And well, first they got mad. Right? And that's what I want you guys to all know. And remember, one of the wealthy mindset problems or opportunity is that you need to use obstacles and every slight, every failure as fuel. Some of you guys are too complacent. Can I just tell you? And you, for all of those times that you went for help and those people didn't help you, you need to use that as fuel so that you can use that fuel and that energy to make what you want happen so that you will show them. Do you know what I mean? Like, invariably, every one of those women said, I took my power back now. And yeah, I got bad information, and yeah, they put me in that bad investment, and yeah, but I'm going to show them. That's what every one of those women had. They use that what others meant, don't let me stop preaching in here on y'all now. What the enemy used, right? They use for good. And so that is the kind of intention and energy. If you guys want to follow this roadmap and move from earner to heiress, that's the kind of energy and intensity I need y'all to bring to this, right? That's exactly why we're doing the Legacy Wealth Intensive for six weeks, so that we can bring intensity to it. That's what those women all had. So when they saw how much of a gap they had, you know what it did? It made them mad. And they were like, now that I got this information, nothing's going to stop me. So who's willing to become unstoppable? If you're willing to come unstoppable, put yes in the chat. What I want you guys to know is that it's the energy that you bring to anything, right? Like if you're just sitting back and you think like it'll happen. I'm in WealthyU. Yeah, I'm learning this stuff. It's good. I know more than I did. It's gonna take more than that, y'all. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's going to be you getting up and you looking and you applying and you learning and you applying and you executing, and you, even if you're not sure, it doesn't matter. Just move forward. That is the difference between the women that had phenomenal groups for phenomenal growth, right? It's that intensity. Whatever you focus on expands, and it will gain momentum, and you will be unstoppable. If you guys believe that, put yes in the chat. I need you to believe it, and I need you to affirm it. That you have everything you need to be, everything you need to be, but it's not about just being, it's about doing, and it's about acting on it. You got to take more. Every one of those women that I talked to, you know what? I had to drop it on them. I had to drop it on them. What hammer did I drop on them? I said, many of you plan not to lose. That's why you can't win. It was like, oh Lord, what did she say? That's me. That's me, right? Because many of them are in the insurance, we're in the insurance agents, financial services. A lot of them were in insurance. And I basically told them, they're giving me the story about cash value. I said, well, I'm not going to argue with you, but we'll just do the numbers, internal rate of return. I can tell you, if you're putting that kind of capital in an investment and that kind of money, and it hasn't doubled in the past 5 years, I got news for you. Okay, so I need all of you to, did you hear that? Did you guys just hear that? If your money has not doubled in the last 5, especially, now listen, let me, y'all ready to go somewhere tonight? Now we talking about wealth gap. And do you remember what? So let me just recap. What was the most important aspect of you closing that wealth gap? What did I say it was? I want to make sure this sinks in. What is the most important factor? Return. Say it. Look at y'all. Y'all using ROI. That's right. That's why you're WealthyU. Return on investment. And listen, I know it's counterintuitive. Right? It's counterintuitive because, people like, I got to tell y'all this. Okay. I know I'm going to go off the reservation just a little bit. So I roll into town. I got my Wealth Secrets jacket on, right? First day, get off the plane. So I said, let me go have some lunch. Well, actually, it's darn near dinner by then. So I go in the restaurant and I have some lunch. I think I told my legacy wealth intensive people this on Monday. And first, this guy walks over and he has stopped the 401k, stop 401k rollover, stop 401k on his shirt. That was his little tagline. I know he was trying to get some kind of reaction, but I said, nah, I'm not taking the bait, right? And then I asked, so I already know it's like off the reservation kind of situation. So I say, oh, he says, oh, Wealth Secrets, what's that? And I said, oh, it's my new book, blah, blah, blah. I, introduced myself. I'm Deborah. Oh, I know who you are. I seen you on Roland Martin's show, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, that's great. I said, so what do you do? And so then he tells me, oh, well, I have this company and I have a calculator or something, and it shows people if their advisors aren't paying them enough. They're not earning a higher return. And I was like, well, your calculator cannot predict the future. So how do you know how what else somebody else hasn't predicted was predicted? I mean, like, why are your numbers better? How can you? And he said, oh, well, I was like, okay, here we go. And so and then he goes on and he says, I said, then I take the base. I said, so tell me, what do you mean by this stop the 401k? And he's like, oh, well, people shouldn't invest in their 401k until they pay off all their debt. I was like, now, y'all seen that meme with Viola when she take her do like that? That's and come on now. I'm not at that conference 15 minutes. And this person that's the kind of information you guys are being given. Don't invest in your 401k, pay off all your debt. No, ma'am. No. Focus on that money, making more money. I know it's counterintuitive, y'all, but what happens is, and it's happened to all of you. How many of you, since you've been in WealthyU, let me just say that you've learned how to increase the rate of return. And so that's all you think about now. So now you're not thinking about nothing. You're thinking about, I got to be over here on the other side of that's all I want to think about is I know that I have the power now to impact how my money grows. And that's what you're thinking about. That's all I want you. That's why it's so counterintuitive, because whatever we focus on expands. So when we focus on that thing of which is going to bring us a greater return, those other little things are no longer important. Are y'all with me? Like I've seen your transformation. Like you'll be looking at your friends and they'll be, oh girl, look what I got. You'll be like, that's just so stupid. Girl, you could have had you some stock, right? She's not even investing in her. So that's what's in your mind now. So that's why we start. What is the first thing? We shift from an income to a wealth mindset. And then once we shift from an income to a wealth mindset, we now know that we can change whatever our financial condition is right now. That's why we're going to do the first thing we're doing in the Legacy Wealth Intensive is the first personal financial statement, because that is a current state. It's not your future state. You guys get this? So because this is your current state, Denise said, yes, throwing money into the brokerage, right? Because it's not your current state, that's why we gotta do our wealthy vision, because it's our future state. Right? So our future state is a function of what we want to happen. It's where we're going to be living. right? It's what our life is going to be about. What are our hobbies? What are we going to be doing with other people? What are we going to be able to do philanthropically? When we paint that vision, that is the point of that takes our current state to where we want to be, right? And so when we're looking at where we're going as if it's already happened, our mindset shifts, and then we begin to act like every day, like it's already happened, right? So we're no longer that middle class mindset. We're a wealth mindset. The things that used to influence us, right? Because of the middle class mindset that we were given, that everything's about status, the car, the house, the purse, the this, the that middle class mindset of which we have now discarded. If I'm preaching, if I'm y'all, I'm like the preacher. Y'all gonna have to tell me if this is making sense to you. If it's making sense, put yes in the chat, right? Since those things, right? What does the Bible say? See, now y'all gonna have me in here preaching. We put away those childish things. Are y'all with me? Okay. They no longer even interest us anymore. Because in order to have any systemic change, you need a new mindset. You cannot get to the next level on the level of thinking that brought you where you're here today, because it's not where you want to be. Can I get an amen in the chat? Right? So the reason I want you to understand that wealth cap is so important for you to understand is because it is a current state. It is not a future state. And the way that you can impact that the most, right? So the first thing is analyzing what you have, and then is optimizing it, right? Is if this is making sense to you, put yes in the chat. Okay? So now, here's the other thing though. The other secret was being with like-minded women, right? And that's why it's important for you to show up for your skill building and to go in it with new eyes. Like I know sometimes for those of you who are in WealthyU, you might say, oh, I went over that before, right? This is the same thing. This is about mastery, right? I need you to get to the point like you AI, right? Like you go through them 5 steps, do boom, 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 bang, go over the morning star, jing, 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 jing. You're a financial ninja. Somebody say, oh, you should be in that stock. You boom, 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 boom. Now you got to go through 12 steps. Return on investment, bro. You know, these kids doing all these dances with 100 steps. Jesus. I'll be like, I see my Gen Zs and my millennials in here. Y'all know y'all be making the moves. I need y'all to bring that same energy, right? To analyze it and research the stocks. That's all I'm saying. You know? And for the OGs in here, y'all be in there doing Tamia's little dance, the little, you know, what is it? The hustle, all them little moves. You got to turn the right way or you going to end up on the other side of the floor. I must be tired. But I'm telling you, I need you to laugh. I need you to bring the same level of energy, right? Because I really feel like everything that is in the, like, look at how much has changed, you guys. Like, even with social media, you know, you got TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Now somebody done thrown in threads and you know. So I just want you guys to think about this for a minute. No, like I know this happens to you. Like the ambassadors and the team, we're in Messenger, right? So we got our little chat and I'm talking to them. Okay, everybody do this, tag this, blah, blah, blah. Did we do this? Blah, blah, blah. But invariably what happens, sometimes it can take me 30 minutes. You know why? That dog on Facebook, you open it up, it's got some kind of notification. Next thing you know, oh, so-and-so's kid had a baby. Look at them. They over here, they in Napa, blah, blah. And then like 30 minutes later, you're like, what in the world? I came on here to give a message to one person. Right? And so what I want you to know is what's really, really critical is that we put focus and attention to it. Everything out here is really designed to distract us. You know, the other thing I noticed is our health, right? With COVID, a lot of us have been sedentary. So one of the other elements that I want to bring to the legacy at Wealth Intensive is nutrition at our brunch, our go away brunch on Sunday. How many of you bought your tickets? Hey, they're going. We probably are only going to have 60 left. If you're coming, you need to, if we could put the Legacy Wealth event in the chat, general admission, you are not going to, Claudia said, if only an hour later, right? So we're distracted. And so, you know, one of the points that I want to make is that we not only have to be intentional with our wealth, but we have to be intentional with our health. And I was having a conversation, and I digress a little bit, but I was having a conversation with a gentleman that I've known for years, and he's always pinging me, Deb, we need to do something. Deb, we need to do something. And he's a remarkable man. You can check him out. He does diet-free life. He doesn't believe in diet. And he really feels, and he's had some go to dietfreelife.com. And he's had some remarkable transformations. So while I had him on the phone, I was like, okay. And he's not a doctor, he's a nutritionist. And I said, now, okay, Robert, give me the 411 on all of these drugs they got out of here. So a lot of these, so this new Ozempic or whatever, if you are familiar with these new drugs that they're out here marketing, are you familiar with them? I'm always a skeptic of drugs. I just have to tell you, they say it do one thing, but then then it ends up having a lot of other unintended consequences. And I know I have a doctor, Dr. Z is on here right now. And so I asked him, Dr. Z, he was like, he's got his diet for life is like a lot of the insurance companies offer it. You know how you can get your, if you have a Peloton, your insurance company might reimburse you, or if you have like classes. So he's been doing these different, his plan is offered because it's nutrition, it's not drugs, right? It's a lifestyle change. It's eating the things that you normally would eat, but in the right way. And he was explaining to me it's homeostasis, right? Like you got to get the body back to its natural state so that it will burn energy like it used to be, but now like you used to do it. And here's the other thing. I watched this Motown special with Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson. Y'all need to Google this because it was amazing. But what was interesting is everybody was skinny. Everybody. Everybody was skinny. Now, we know Diana was skinny. Ain't nobody that skinny. Diana was skinny. But I mean, everybody was svelte. And so I said to him, so what's up with that? And he said, well, it's really interesting. He said, I forget the term that he used, but he was talking about, all of these chemicals that they're putting in the food to make it so that it won't perish, right? Like I had an avocado, and I'm sorry. Come on. An avocado should ripen within a day, at least 48 hours. this avocado never ripened. And so what's happening is they're putting these chemicals in the food that extend its life. But when we eat it, it's not in a natural state. And so what happens is it's doing something to our physiologic, it's doing something to us physiologically. And so, that's the other aspect of it. Like, we can have all the wealth in the world, but what I came away when I was traveling, I was just saying, are these people being willed to the plane because they need to, or is it some little scam? If somebody knows what's going on there, I want to know why everybody had these people taking them to the to the gate. In these have you guys noticed that? Like, they have everybody's being rolled up in gates. Are people that ill that they can't walk to the gate? Virginia, do you know? Why are they doing that? Is that a hustle? They just want to be the first to get on, so they say I'm disabled?
Could be a hustle now, and I've been away for a minute, but yes, a lot of people do it.
See, it just makes me mad. But anyhow, so a couple of things I want to call to your attention, right? So first of all, what is your takeaway from tonight? I want you to put in the chat, based on the second step in the Legacy Wealth Blueprint, Wealth Gap, what we talked about, return on investment, what is the thing that can make the most impact? Based on what we talked about tonight, what's your takeaway? Lamerle says ROI. Awesome. What else? I want everybody to be intentional as we take this journey to know your wealth gap. That's right. And so I gave you a rule of thumb, right? Like, how much money you want to create. For every million, it's about 40,000. If you don't want to run out of money, right? So basically what it's saying is that without a lot of risk, you could generate a return of 4% and take that as income, and you won't run out of money. Okay. Mariette said ROI and budgeting. I got you. What else? Denise says ROI and focus. Martina said being intentional with your thoughts and help. Thank you, Martini. That is so important. I want you guys to get that, because that's the point I was making tonight. That's why we start with mindset. So here's what I want you to know is, like, not only does whatever you focus on expand, but what I want you to know is the level of energy that you bring to it will determine your outcome. I want you guys to get this. Like, the level of intensity that you bring to something is critical. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. One of the things I do, and you'll notice it here, whenever we go through a challenge, I give you the backstory, right? I tell you about my mother, how I found out about the secrets, when I went into Fidelity, all the trials and tribulations that I've been through trying to bring this information to all of you. And, and then the books and how many books I wrote, and, and then it got, and so this time, rather than just show that little journey, I showed a picture. I went back into the archives, and I actually had a picture of me at a book signing, right? When I first wrote Confident Investing, my first book. And I actually had a picture of the Fidelity Investor Center in 401k, right? So I was bringing them to where I was. I had the picture of the A Purse of Your Own campaign and the PBS special. I had a picture of the first purse group at the first book signing. And what that really caused me to think about was the amount of time and energy, right? I want you guys to get this, the level of intensity that you have to bring to anything that you want to make an impact, right? So when I was reflecting, I was thinking about every major accomplishment. What they all had in common was it required me to focus, right? Imagine writing that the first book I wrote, Confident Investing, I realized that I wrote better and I could focus more if I was somewhere where there is background. And so every day I would go into the Barnes and Noble, actually it was a Borders books, right? All of those stores are gone now, isn't that something? But I wrote what was Confident Investing was back in 2001, right? That's 22 years ago, right? And then the next book, what was that? 2009, A Purse of Your Own. Well, no, in between that, I wrote Nickel and Dime, right? And then A Purse of Your Own. But all I'm saying to all of you is this, is that in order for you to achieve the level of financial success you desire and deserve, what's critical for you is that you bring a level of energy, intensity, and focus and determination. That's what's required. Listen, some of you are on the fence about this legacy wealth intensive, and I'm going to tell you, several of you need to do it, right? You need to do it, and then you need to up level because you need that level of intensity. I need all of y'all to stop playing small, right? And this is a conversation that I had to have with myself, right? Like, you figure, oh, well, we can't grow organically, right? We've got to have partnerships. We've got to have more of you leveling up so that you can make an impact with other people. So to that end, one of the things I want all of you to do, if you haven't, you need to be at this Legacy Wealth event because you need the transformation that it's going to provide. Most of the women in the Wealth Secrets book are going to be there, and they're going to be giving to you in their own words the insights that allowed them to move at that rapid pace. That's why, certainly I'm going to do some teaching, right? But I want you to hear from the people who applied the same information so that you can do it too. The other thing that I wanted to share with all of you tonight is that it's the greatest thing that we can do, right? I want all of you to really think about who are the 2 to 3 other people that are in your circle right now that need to be in this community, right? And I want you to each week invite one person just to this WealthyU community. How many of you I want you to, but here's another way, like tell them about the book, give them the Wealth Secrets book. Who is the person that needs to have this kind of transformation? And let's do what we need to do to touch more women. And this, I know during challenge, we have, we're up over 100, 150 or 200, but we need to have more people in this community. And so the other thing you can do is invite one of your good girlfriends to hang out with you on WealthyU Wind Down, because that's the only way we're going to grow and make an impact. So with that, next week, it is number 3. is the 7-figure blueprint, right? And the 7-figure blueprint really is showing you exactly what those women in WealthyU do. Where did they start? They started with that 7-figure blueprint, not only just figuring out what their, so that we know what your gap is, right? So now, how do you close that gap? I gave you one of the secrets, return on investment, but we're actually going to create it next week. So meet me right back here next Wednesday for WealthyU Wind Down. That's going to do it for me. Again, did we put the Legacy Wealth event in the chat? We did. Excellent. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. You guys have a prosperous evening, and we'll see you right back here next week.